Welcome back to Lost in Time. So yeah, let's finish this.
Time for the epic conclusion.
This time, let's get all the Acme boxes proper, and also get some stuff we haven't got. Go on.
I apologize to anyone expecting an actual epic conclusion because the end of the game is kind of mundane.
It is a bit. They just reused the ending scene from Nightmare Hair, and that's basically
You don't even get a final boss.
Wait a minute. You're telling me there isn't a scene in which Bugs Bunny goes all hog crazy and just shoots Daffy Duck?
Well, technically,
that possibly happen.
Yeah, technically, we have had cartoons where he basically does that. Actually.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me. Yeah, but you didn't tell me he just goes full crazy and then starts killing everybody else in the game.
That would be funny if Daffy Duck was the final boss of this game, actually.
If I recall correctly, there is I think it's Taz Wanted, where the final boss is actually one of the characters you interact with. It's a bit of a spoiler, so I'm not saying which specific one it is, but it is one of the characters you've been interacting with the game, and you count kind of out of nowhere. No, this is the first Looney Tunes video game we're ever commenting on. Well, okay,
we did a Taz game at some point.
It's a Genesis game. I'm talking about Taz Wanted on the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox.
Never mind. I had the Taz.
Also, it's still my bad because we did some of the Genesis games. Not all of them, because the one that I remember, not growing up, but playing a bit when I was a little kid, was Desert Demolition, I think it's called. The Roadrunner one.
Mm-hmm. I guess in spite of this game having a mundane ending, at least I can say the ending didn't leave me soul-crushed as a child with the idea of wasted time, unlike a certain other platformer from the GameCube.
You mean I'm guessing you mean Sunshine? See,
I'm gonna say Star Fox Adventures.
No. I actually enjoyed Star Fox Adventures all the way through.
See, the problem the Star Fox Adventures is not a bad game. The problem is that it was sold to you as a Star Fox game, and that game has nothing to do with Star Fox. That's the problem. Like, if they just kept it as Dinosaur Planet, but no, Miyamoto apparently thought it would be better to just put Star Fox in it, because...
To be fair, Star Fox Adventures did give us Crystal, and we all love Crystal.
Well, but that's the thing. But that's the thing, Joe. But Crystal was originally meant to be the protagonist of Dinosaur Planet until Miyamoto decided, nah. That's the thing.
Awkward.
Much like with some of the more let's say fans who are into it when it comes to the Sonic fandom about stuff like Rouge the Bat. Fans of Crystals tend to creep me out.
I'm guessing
they take it too far, don't they?
I'm guessing.
Yeah, ever since Dark Road Shadow started using that plushie, yeah, that has been included too.
Whatever. People are allowed to be into whatever they want.
Oh, sure, but I'll still be creeped out.
Okay, look. That stuff aside, I honestly was always fine with Star Fox Adventures, even as a Star Fox game, since they did also add in some ship gameplay and everything. Also, yes, I know it wasn't originally supposed to do that.
The character journey did improve for Assault, the other one on GameCube, when it comes to Crystal. But then the DS game, I don't even know what the fuck happened with that, because in almost every single route, Crystal sucks.
Oh, is that the one where she can potentially marry, like, into
Panteroso, whatever it's called, yes.
No, see, the problem...
Weird.
No, see, if you don't know that, just go watch Matt Muscle's What Happened video on the matter, because he explains that, how the development of that game went. No, see, here, the problem with Sunshine is that it's not so much... Okay, yes, there's the postcard. Here's the thing. The problem with Sunshine is that it's incredibly frustrating just to get at 100% because of how unpolished the game can be and how many frustrating power stars that game has compared to... That's why when people complain, in my opinion, when people complain about a lot of moons in Odyssey being too easy, I'm just like, guys, let's face it, this is still better than the alternative Sunshine gave us.
I don't know if Sunshine coined the term, but it definitely threw it into overdrive. Fun to play, terrible to complete.
It also has the most memorable, taking in the wrong way, because it has a set of particularly Sunshine missions, to play Sunshine, that really sticks in your head because of how specific they are in their difficulty, like the pachinko machine, the leaf on the acid river, the watermelon, and so on.
Oh god, the watermelon.
Like when it comes to the frustration mission of, for example, Mario 64, you pick stuff like TikTok Clock or I forgot the name, the mission where you have to ride the carpet, on top of the.
I think that's called the Rainbow.
Yeah, Rainbow Rugway, something like that. But those tend to be more isolated cases and, in a more generic context tied to the actual level. No, Sunshine goes to a very specific type of detail for its most bastard of missions.
It really does.
Oh, there's the last level being unlocked.
Train your brain.
I will say I'm sad some things from Sunshine didn't return because people tend to associate everything bad with Sunshine, which is a shame.
Well,
because
it got references Splatoon 3.
I mean,
I
aside
feel
from...
like stuff like
Go on.
I feel like stuff like, hey, actually having more voice acting, imagine that in a Nintendo platformer was not a bad thing.
I guess, but I can tell you that it was a very rough attempt. I'm just gonna quote partially the song that Brent of Lost did for Sunshine. The voice of Bowser sounds rather like Cookie Monster's drunk brother.
Yeah.
I mean, it was rough, but they could have refined it, arguably. I feel like it was kind of a shame that they just relatively chickened out from it after that.
I also love that the level is called One Way and the title card Another.
Yeah.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Alright, so...
Yeah,
Are you
yikes
actually
indeed, Dugs.
Are you actually in space?
Well,
Technically, again,
Well,
this
how
dimensional
is he
X
falling?
cartoon logic.
you're asking for accurate physics in a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Also, yeah, so
Time
this
for
last
silence
level,
says.
it's a set of mini-games, actually.
It's basically a set of mini-games to test your brain. To be fair...
Imagine the finale stage being minigames.
Well, to be fair, it is a change of pace from the rest, so I'm actually not... I'm not bothered by this.
Oh, I don't mind a change of pace. I just find it kind of, again, a bit underwhelming as, like, the finale.
I guess.
And again, considering also the change, the level name change, I do wonder if this was genuinely the last thing that they did and they had to rush this thing out to the lore.
It does lead credence to our idea that the latter half of the game may have been rushed.
Yeah, basically. But, no, that's exactly it. When it comes to Sunshine, that game suffered from being also rushed, because remember, Luigi's Mansion didn't do the numbers it did, because now it's popular, but you have to understand, back in the early 2000s, not so much. People just wanted...
Oh yeah, I remember. People were so salty about it not being a proper Mario game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh hell no, they don't put Mario in a painting.
It's like...
I wonder if it gave people PTSD to the Mario is missing educational game.
That's the basic gist of it here. Like Teo said, it's a bunch of mini games, and there's some minor sections like these between each mini game, but that's basically it. There's not that much there. The only real thing that's a bit more actiony is the last one, where you have to do a speed racer, a speed racer race with one of the Martians. Basically.
Go Speed Racer! Go Speed Racer!
Not just any race, but a special race to see who is the fastest.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
God, imagine if the final level in a Mario game was a battle of Mario Party.
So basically, you have to recreate the layout that you just saw. That's it.
Of course. The future!
Well, actually, more like Mars.
I still think this should have been the future, since, it's literally the futuristic level and all that. Like, and again, it's a time traveling game. Why wasn't this the future?
Yeah, that's true.
I guess it's still partially labeled, that's what they meant. They just, labeled it like that because they probably thought it was better to be named like that. You have to remember that, okay, Behavior Interactive, I think it's, Dibs, remind me again.
French developer, I think.
Oh, it's, so it might be,
French, yeah.
well, okay, because, Infogrames is a French publishing company with, the now Atari, which has now the Infogrames, brand on it. Still a French. So I can imagine maybe it might have been a thing where it was named something slightly different in French, maybe, and just got lost partially in the translation. Not the first time it has happened. Oops. There we go.
Great!
Alright, moving on.
Speaking of the speed racing, hair dance. Such a random name, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he said earlier, yeah, Looney Tunes. I mean, okay, not saying that Looney Tunes was funny just because it was random, but it was part of the humor.
Well, the thing is, typically a pun has a point to it. Like, what's the joke with hair dance exactly? Like,
Because he's a hare and he's bouncing around.
I guess,
like he's dancing.
There was a lot of pun. There was a lot of pun humor in Looney Tunes. Most of the shorts names were puns, basically.
exactly.
Especially
That's
Bugs
why-
Bunny shorts. Like most of the shorts were some kind of pun on the word hair. So
Exactly. That's why I kind of raised an eyebrow at hair dance, since it doesn't have anything to do with space. Like, it could be referencing a certain anime, but I'm pretty sure that anime did not exist at the time of this game.
yeah, the basic idea is that the red ones count as lava.
And then, when they disappear, it counts as a hole.
Yep.
There was a hole here now. It's gone.
So ironically, it being hot is the better alternative. Martians really have a weird way of getting around.
I mean, have you ever seen the Duck Dodgers cartoon, Jova?
Oh, yes.
I mean, the
God.
2001, so yeah.
Yes, I love it. That show did so much stuff. I remember when it literally did a parody of Samurai Jack, of all
Yeah.
things.
Mostly, it felt very out of spite more than anything. Mostly because, hey, Cartoon Network is also having this more popular cartoon, so, we're not liking that. And I don't know.
Oh, man, I never
Especially
got
because
the feeling...
it really doesn't matter. That episode really doesn't matter at all.
I
It
guess I
basically
never...
pretends like nothing happened.
I guess I never got the idea that they were doing it to take the piss out of Samurai Jack. Then again, I was a kid when I watched it, so maybe there was some hostility I missed.
Basically.
I don't know. Like, I guess to me, I always just thought it was in good fun.
Indeed.
So did everyone here like that show? I know I did.
The episodes that I've seen were perfectly fine, I was particularly impressed by the kind of makeover that they gave to Marvin, actually. They tried to make him much more Darth Vader-esque.
Yeah, he was more so the warrior to the Martian Queen who, get this, who was apparently Daffy's jilted ex. Yeah, Daffy
because
apparently
it's
had game. in
It's
that
basically
show.
a reference. You guys have seen John Carter. She's basically supposed to be a reference to the Shatoris.
Cute.
Might as well talk about how recently Warner Brothers Classics division that releases their old material. They recently released a new Looney Tunes Blu-ray because recently they've had a Looney Tunes Collector's Edition series, and this is now Volume 3 that released just recently at the time of this recording, just in November. It's good that we're getting some of the more obscure shorts localized, especially one in particular that I love is Elmer's Pet Rabbit, which is an old short from back when Elmer Fudd still had his Egghead outfit. And Mel Blanc's Bugs Bunny voice was still in its beta stage, because it didn't even do that tone. Instead, did a more traditional "Look, Bob" type of New Yorker voice. But it's always been one of my personal favorites because I love the jokes in them. So there's one particular joke in it that I have. Okay, so in here for this one, you have to find a secret color combination to beat the master. Set all colors and press the button to validate. Highlighted spots mean good shots. Remember, Bunny, the same color never appears twice in a single row. So here's the basic. So basically, here's the basic gist.
My name's not Bunny.
Well, the basic gist is this: pick a set of colors, like I'm doing right now, and see if you get right, any one color you get right, you'll get a crown on it, showing that this is the right color, like so. Nope, and apparently I got none right this time. Okay.
So is there any rhyme or reason, or is it just guesswork?
Guesswork.
Yeah, this is an actual type of, deduction game. I don't remember actually how it's called, but some older versions of Windows actually had it. I remember playing it a lot back when my parents had a PC with Windows 95 on it.
Also, that's a nice reference to the Duck Dodgers cartoon with the Acme mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's exactly it.
Also, of course, if any company would reach to outer space, the aliens, of course it would be Acme.
I mean,
Acme
I'm even
Ryan.
surprised.
Yeah, no, according to Back in Action, Acme apparently
There you
calls
go.
shots with aliens now.
I got those for you right now. So dark blue, light blue, pink. So now we have to just guess the fourth
Final
one.
color.
So which one could it be?
I swear, as a kid, I was always wondering if there was some hint I was missing, but no, it really is just about to guess the right colors.
Basically, the game gives you enough opportunity to try out various combinations. Even if you fail, you can just retry. So it's whatever. All right. So we've tried yellow, we've tried light blue, and we've tried pink already. So what could it be? Let's see if it's dark blue again, maybe.
Imagine if a trick answer was that you can actually leave them blank.
I don't even think they're randomized, they tend to be the same.
Alright. Instead, let's try orange.
My favorite.
Nope. So,
Summer.
Orange? Oh, orange is your favorite color.
Been saying it for a while, Jova, yes.
alright, let's try...
I know that the joke is that, that means I'm gonna get in prison because the Swedish color like that, but no.
Well, that depends on the country. Because usually, when I think traditional, stereotypical prison clothing, I think of the white and black stripes outfit.
That's more old school. These days, people tend to associate mostly because of all the procedural American drama, police, TV series. Tend to think the classic orange jumpsuit.
So
It
yeah.
can vary with some prisons. Some go gray, some go blue, some go black.
So yeah, that was the right combination.
Purple, of
And
course.
apparently this does not please the Acme mind.
Wow, this teleporter is literally just labeled in. I get if it's supposed to be in and out, but come on.
The basic idea is this. Oh yeah, here it is. Here's the race that I was talking about.
This is it.
Gentlemen,
the grand finale.
on your bikes.
A race.
You can press circle to go to pole. Ready? Get set. Go. All right. So I will argue that for this race, the Martian himself is not the problem. It's more so the obstacles.
Hey, Sonic Heroes.
You have to time that bit well because.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I sucked at that too multiple times as a kid.
I remember as a kid, I always likened it to Sonic Heroes, and I was like, I guess Bugs was a Mobian. Since that's the tornado maneuver from Sonic Heroes, essentially.
Well, that and Sonic Heroes did that whole thing better by looks of it.
Oh, it did, absolutely. Because, trust me, this poll is very finicky, as Pedro was showing.
Indeed. No, that's no, and I understand that problem with the games that are fine to play through, but frustrating to 100%. Because I have that problem with something like, say, Sonic Forces, for example, where Sonic Forces, of course, is an incredibly easy game if you're just playing through the story. But if you're trying to get 100%, those time trials can get really frustrating, especially in boss battles, because even during, like, let's say, for example, the final boss, there's a lot of points in the final boss where you're just watching an animation play out, and you have to wait, and you can't do anything but wait until the animation plays out. And the timer is still going during those animations, you know?
I hate when games do that.
So that can be incredibly frustrating, you know?
Doesn't one of the bosses in the boss rush of Sonic Frontiers added with the DLC does something similar to that?
I think you're talking about Final Horizon 3. So the third expansion, Final Horizon. Yeah, it was originally incredibly frustrating. Me and Joe even talked about this, how the second boss of Sonic Frontiers was clearly not made with speedrunning in mind, and it becomes... Fortunately, they fixed it, and if you do it in easy mode, it gives you a much more generous timer. Yeah, basically. It's fortunately they did address it, like, and you don't really get anything. The DLC doesn't have trophies, so you don't get any kind of penalization for using easy mode. So if you're like me and you just want to get it done because normal mode and hard mode don't work for you, just do easy mode, just get it over with.
Only a real faker Hedgehog would play on easy mode, as Shadow would say.
Also, get through these boosters, because as long as you keep going through the boosters, you'll keep yourself way ahead of the Martian, no problem. Again, the real problem is the poles, as far as I'm concerned. That's the real challenge.
Calculating the distance, yeah.
The real challenge in this race is the poles, not the Martian. Idiots. And I guess all you can do now is commit suicide. Okay.
Guess I'll die.
Alright, let's get the final clock. Which means we now have the level completed 100%. We have all of the golden carrots. How many clocks did it show we have there?
23?
123? So we need one more clock to get 100%. Alright, so basically I was just showing off how basically this allows you to exit the level, the other one allows you to restart the level from the beginning, but we don't need that, so let's just exit the level altogether. Alright, we have one more clock, but before we get that clock, let's actually get into the end, because as you're about to see, as soon as I... Hold on.
Great, just perfect. You have completed this level. Let me save your position.
No, thank you. Oh, never mind. I do save my progress. Okay.
Actually, I changed my mind.
Moyle. Bye. Yeah, goodbye, Moyle.
Congratulations, Bugs. You found enough clocks to open up the present day.
And now the stunning conclusion.
So yeah, you just go to the space-time continuum, pick present, and the game's done. And as you can see for the pause screen there, I'm 99% done. I just need one more clock.
Like, again, the way it's unlocked, it just has small text that you go and instantly the ending. Like, it really screams like it was rushed.
And like we've mentioned,
right.
yes, there is
like I said, the ending is verbatim the ending of the Nightmare Hair short that was the primary inspiration for this game.
Nightmare?
Literally verbatim the same ending.
No, impossible. Couldn't be him.
All right, Merlin, giddy up. Get along now.
Yep. Again, somebody in the development team really likes the Nightmare Hair short. And that's it, we're done.
And there you go.
There you go.
Just get Bugs returning home, I guess, with a time machine.
Well, this ending screen basically shows that yeah, he's back home. He took the time machine with him and everything. So there you go. That's it.
But What about that secret ending?
There is no secret ending. There's just a different background in this particular screen if you get that last clock, but I'm gonna show off later. For now, let's
Pretty
just...
sure that's what they consider a secret ending. Or whatever.
That's stretching it if I've ever
I
heard
get
it.
it, but also this is supposed to still, using all the nonsensical, cartoology and everything, but it also leaves a couple of things, not being satisfying. Like, we never know who made the time machine and why it was there in that barn. I get it. Again, a lot of the old Looney Tunes cartoon kind of operates on this logic where something is just there, for how this nonsensical it may be, and because it causes shenanigans. But I don't know. For a game like this, it feels like there should have been a minor explanation, like say, oh, it was actually something that Merlin actually had, placed there, to screw over with bugs. I don't know.
And let it never be forgotten, we never got to see what was the deal with that purple T-Rex in the game's cover. Like, shoot, Daffy, who isn't even on the cover, got more to show for than the T-Rex from the actual cover.
Again, that's what. Again,
Hold on. No special thanks to the chicken place up the street for not delivering free of charge.
Just because you're a game developer doesn't mean you get special treatment.
You wanker.
Bloody freeloaders.
But again, what they just said, much like with a lot of other things that I discussed, will actually be addressed, and properly done in the sequel. So I genuinely believe this is just a case where they had rushed the product out of the door.
Very possible.
And especially because this was basically at the early stages of the development team. So.
Yep. All right, everybody. That was Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. Dwebs, what do you think?
That was random. Okay, I'll talk about the ending real quick and how there really wasn't much of one. I thought we were going to have a final level where it's like, oh, it turns out, big surprise, Merlin was evil, and we have to beat him in a final encounter. But no, he just goes back to the present, and that's it. The end.
Let me just mention something real quick. There's according to the critics, the one in charge of marketing in my country was someone called Vera Ramirez. Okay, interesting that they bothered to credit, of all things, the Portuguese marketing person. Whatever.
Don't you know the Portuguese marketing committee will be the future of all marketing?
I guess so. Carry on, Dwebs.
Possibly. I mean, the only way this ending could possibly have been more anticlimactic is if, as Bugs is going through the portal into the present, he just runs into it like it's a drawing of a door on the wall or something.
Yeah, something that Wally Coyote will do.
And then he's just stuck there, and he's like, "Oh, geez, what are we gonna do now?" And that's it. That's all, folks. Just like the game just said.
All right.
And for the rest of the game, it's okay. I mean, the music's pretty boring, to be honest, and I mean the graphics do hold up okay for a PS1 game. The gameplay looks a bit ropey though, especially when you're not on foot. The vehicle segments in particular, like that. Well, anything that's not running around, like that pause earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The racing segments, because it's so easy to throw yourself off a cliff. That's just really about it for me. It's fine, but there are some big problems.
All right. Before we move on to the next person, here, let's get that final clock, which I left behind here at Magic Hairblower. Oh, we don't have to go far. It's actually relatively close to the beginning of the stage. There you go. You saw the quote-unquote, I guess, normal ending. So let's unlock the better one, I guess.
Time to see what all that work goes towards.
It's not that much, because remember, in order to get the ending, you need to get 120 clocks. So going from that to 124, that's only 4 more clocks. So it's not... By the time you finish the game, you're almost at 100%. So you might as well go all the way at that point.
This is definitely a game that seems to function on the idea that it's much more about the journey than the destination.
There we go.
And that's it. Alright, and now here's the final time that Merlin will talk to us, because, yeah, once you 100% the game, Merlin will no longer show up at the end of every level.
Let me save your position.
That's sad. It's like saying goodbye to a friend you've made and nurtured all over time.
And yeah, it always says that at the end of every time you finish a level. That message there.
It's
All
almost
right.
like the game is.
Alright, we got
watching
all the clocks and all the golden carrots. As you can see, the ending cutscene is the exact same, so no difference here. And that's it. You might remember at the beginning of the game, Bugs Bunny was trying to get to Pismo Beach, which is why he ended up
Yeah.
in that shack. So there you go.
But where is he?
Pismo Beach.
Look at there in the bottom left, Dwebs. So there you go. If you get 100%, Bugs finally does make it to Pismo Beach. There you go.
To be fair, that was kind of the running gag with a lot of the cartoon, but he was trying to get to a place similar to that and never got there.
So,
Yeah.
what happened? He's not there, so what happened? Did he get to Pismo Beach, decide it wasn't worth it, and then just dug a tunnel back home?
I guess so.
Considering
Well, apparently now
Bugs,
his
Bugs is,
he put
Bugs is
the-
the most hard-to-please creature in the world.
Actually,
To be
given
fair,
that his
yeah, he put the letter box there, so he might have just decided to, get there, establish a second home.
Even brought with him.
Yeah.
Even brought with him his Italian umbrella. It seems. All right, Teo, go ahead.
Okay. Strictly on a nostalgia level, I genuinely like this game, growing up with it. It still had its rough corners even back in the day. There were general lot of levels that I was frustrated with, like the Pirate Era ones in particular, which is ironic considering that my favorite tends to be instead from the Pirate Era, the minecart level, The voice acting that they did for my country was a decent enough job outside of that one of the Dimension X level where the dub for some reason glitches towards instead the Spanish one. No idea what happened. The music is technically okay, but you can kind of tell that they wanted, like I said, to give the game a bit more of an identity instead of, relying on the classic Virtuos motif. And I think something is a bit lost in the process. They could have have a bit of a compromise there, unless it was a licensing problem that Warner Bros. Was giving to them. That might have been possible, The choice for the locations and the villains seems to be appropriate enough, And even, again, the only argument that you can make is maybe that Duffy is underutilized when he's usually, one of the most, if not the most, recurring, deuterotagonist, because antagonist might be a bit too strong a word for Bugs, But again, that's kind of something that the sequel will also doing. Again, with most of the critique, you can kind of tell the sequel would improve on this, so don't worry. But again, remove the nostalgia goggles off. It's still more rough around the edges. Particularly, I argue the almost complete lack of challenge. The only thing that restricts you are the distance between checkpoints. And even then, a lot of times it's not that big of a deal unless you'll be very, very young in the audience, which, to be fair, it might be the target audience. So, but I don't know. I think, at this point, the whole concept of the Dark Souls withholding part of your currency that you can retrieve later at the point you fell, was not a thing at all. But I argue completely removing the life system, and not doing anything in its place just feels cutting a bit too many corners, Again, could have been polished or think something else, just to accommodate a bit without having to be too frustrating, Because at this point, it makes it kind of, I wouldn't say it goes to the Wario Land 2 level, because Wario Land 2 did have the setbacks, if you failed, stuff like having to restart the bosses from the beginning, for example, So no, I think this one goes a bit too much on the easy side. So for these days, it might not, have much of a bite unless you're just exclusively there for the fan service. Which, to be fair, it could easily be the most, focal reason why you're playing this game in the first place. Speaking of which, no, really, like I said in one of the early parts, why the fuck is Warner Bros. Being so asinine in not re-releasing these games in any capacity is beyond me. Because again, Disney Interactive is doing a decent enough job, at least on PC. Sure, when it comes to other consoles, even on a basic level, like say the PS1 classics, so far they only done technically Toy Story 2, and Racer, I think, and it came to the PS1 catalog. But almost everything else hasn't. So the best we got for there were the PC, version on GOG and Steam. But when it comes to, Warner Bros., the Looney Tunes games are completely, almost abandonware. Again, I can only hope that the revival of the Infogrames brand means that we can get, a release of this. I don't think this game really is in need of a remake because, I don't think right now there's anything that can be done to touch up many mechanics, in order to change effectively the product. And when it comes to having a new art style, we might run into the problem of the Crash and Spyro, trilogies that got released recently, and have it a bit too over-detailed, which would be polarizing in terms of reception. So again, just a simple preservation release for this version would be perfectly fine to me, as it is for also the other titles like Dogship and Wolf, Taz Wanted, or even the 16-bit games or even 8-bit, just find a way to do it. I don't know if the Game Boy games were like Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout were ever re-released onto either the Nintendo Switch Online or the Virtual Console back in the day. I don't think so. But, if so, who knows? I know that Warner Bros. Has some degree of control because out of nowhere on Nintendo Switch Online, we did got the Game Boy, the titles, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Quest for Camelot out of nowhere that nobody was asking for. So I know that they're perfectly capable, of preserving some of these titles, even if they're done by tangential companies that they made, in this case Infogrames. So please, Warner Bros., if you can, please get to it, because it will be a good incentive for me to actually replay it properly, at the very least on a personal level. But that's kind of it from me. Again, enjoyable, rough around the edges, could have been better, but it's still a good time overall. Jova.
This was a good deal of nostalgia for me. Like, Tio, I played this a ton as a kid, essentially. And, as a kid, it did feel like the perfect experience. That said, looking back, yeah, I can definitely see the roughness around the edges, essentially. Most of the voice acting is good. Some of it is a bit iffy. But, again, it is what it is, especially to what is my knowledge, the first ever fully voice-acted Looney Tunes game, so I can understand where they may have run into some difficulties here and there. What I will give them credit is, they did a great job translating the mannerisms of Looney Tunes into a video game, essentially, with the death animations feeling like stuff that would feel in place in the Looney Tunes stuff, a lot of the boss animations, or how a lot of the bosses function at that as well. Good stuff. So yeah, like Pedro mentioned, whoever made this was a big fan of Nightmare Hair, because they really nailed it down with Merlin, essentially. In fact, this game was actually the reason I even knew of Merlin. I legit thought that he originally came from this game before I found out he actually did come from his own Looney Tunes short. It is a neat touch, though, that his home seems to be in the medieval ages, though, since, he is Merlin and all that jazz. How they integrate a lot of the Looney Tune villains into the different time dates also relatively works out well. Yeah, it's cool we get a prehistoric Elmer Fudd. Sam as a pirate is something we've seen before as well, so kudos there, too. Witch Hazel, of course, being in medieval times, yes, and Roxy and Muggsy in the 1930s, yes, please. Culminating with Marvin the Martian in, again, what I hold should have been the future, but they just labeled generically as space. Yeah, no, the integrations there are good. Although, that being said, why the hell doesn't Witch Hazel have her own proper boss fights? In fact, like, the closest we get is, like, that one sort of chase level, but, again, it feels weird that Witch Hazel doesn't get a proper boss fight. Also weird that, again, the purple dinosaur from the cover doesn't even show up in the game, but I'm more iffy about Witch Hazel not even getting her proper dues. Like, it wouldn't even really bug me too much if it weren't for the fact that, well, she kind of really doesn't get much else outside of that either. Again, it's all so weird. But that aside, the integration with the Looney Tunes characters is good. That said, where things are kind of their roughest is, of course, in the gameplay. Now, the gameplay, for its most part, is actually pretty good. In some ways, ahead of its time, too, by not hindering us with a live system. I'll admit, I legit forgot that wasn't the case, that it, didn't have a live system, but here we are, essentially. Which probably made it easier for kids like us to play through it and not have to deal with the frustrations of being booted back to the start of a level, essentially. Save for some weird and kind of dickish sections in the game, but those are far and few between. That being said, the game still is not without its blemishes, since some of the movement can be a bit herky-jerk. The hover maneuver isn't truly a hover maneuver. It's literally just a way to land on TNT crates without breaking them. I feel like that should have been a proper gliding maneuver. Because, the jumps are sometimes a bit tricky to make. And yeah, we gotta talk about it. That one difficulty scale, the first pirate level, is, not exactly what I would call particularly fun to play, which is a shame because the boss fight at the end with Sam is fun. It's just one of those caveats, essentially, where you will have to play through some not as keen areas here and there. There's some other bits like the factory level and whatnot, again. But overall, I'd say it's for the most part a good experience, kind of hindered by its shortcomings. And yeah, most notably of the shortcomings, if you were expecting like a bombastic end, nope. Not even for the final level, really, which is more a mix of puzzle and racing games. Weird.
Even the That's Whole Folks screen is just a JPEG slapped to for 2-3 seconds instead of having the fanfare.
It really does make me wonder if the latter half of the game was rushed, since again, we get some weird stuff like Magic Hair Blower, which, you do have blowers that, blow bugs up, essentially.
More like blow the level. Yeah, I think I already did a joke.
Ha ha ha. Very funny. But yeah, no, it's like the latter half is weird with some of the levels not feeling as up to par or just feeling plain weird in the grand scheme of things. That said, ideally the sequel will improve on it. And yeah, the ending itself. Again, it's technically an ending. Bugs gets back home, although he kind of implies that he thinks that it may have been just a nightmare when, no, the machine was still there. You were clearly traveling through time, my dude. This isn't like those cartoons where it makes sense you would think it was a dream. But yet again, I digress. It's small potatoes. It's a game that's definitely more about the journey than the destination. And I will say that the journey is definitely worth a pickup here and there. It would be nice if this game gets re-released, hopefully, but for now, it serves as a good cornerstone in my memories. Pedro, close us out with your final thoughts.
It's good. But yeah, it does show its age at this point. Like the others I've said, the latter part of the game seems to have been rushed. That being said, I'll argue it's still a good time if you're into 3D platformers. If you can get around its old school PS1 controls, it can be an enjoyable romp. It's not going to blow you away. But if you're a fan of the Looney Tunes like I am, it is an enjoyable bit of Looney Tunes fan service. So it does add to that. There are some levels that can be a bit and not particularly great, but I'll argue that those are in the minority. I don't mind the music. I think the music can be really fun. Like I like the Stone Age theme. So I do like some of the tracks. Not all of them are winners, but some of them are fun and catchy enough. And yeah, that's it. The presentation is good for its time. And there's not really much more I can say. It's just a good platform for its time, but definitely does show its age after all these years. So keep that in mind if you decide to try it, basically. All right, that's it, everybody. That's Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. See you for eventually when we do get to Bugs and Taz time what?
Busters,
That's it, Time Busters. So see you then.
So yeah.
Ta-ta!